Hi everybody, my name is Kathleen Kelleher and I'm a librarian here at BFIT. I've created this video to help guide you through the process of finding information about your major for the Professional Inquiry Unit, specifically using the library databases and other credible sources to find the information you need. So let's get started. I'm going to start by talking a little bit about information literacy. Now, as you may know, information literacy is one of the skills that we'd like you to have when you have completed EN130. Now, according to the Association of College and Research Libraries, information literacy is the set of skills needed to find, retrieve, analyze, and use information. And basically what that means for us is that by the end of this course, you should be able to understand what kind of information you need to get, know what kind of source to go to find that information, and once you found it, be able to effectively use that source in your writing. So let's talk about sources. Sources are basically places to find information. So when I'm sitting down to do a research paper or just to find out information about a topic, the first thing I need to know is what is the question I'm trying to answer? What do I need to find out? And then once I've done that, I can start to think about, well, if I need to answer the specific question, what kind of information would help me answer that question? And then what kind of source could I use to find that information? Where would I go? And then finally, once I have the information, I need to determine whether or not that particular source is credible, whether the information can be trusted. So some examples of common sources are newspapers, which contain our news and our current events, books, which are an in-depth examination of a particular topic or subject. A reference work, like a dictionary or an encyclopedia, contains a little bit of information about a lot of different subjects. And finally, articles, which will be the most useful to you in this particular assignment, because they're written to convey information about a specific topic within a field. So for example, there'll be lots of people writing about your fields, your majors, about new developments in that field. So articles are where we're really going to focus our search for this particular assignment. So for your research review assignment, you're going to need to use the library databases to find articles in your field. I'm going to show you how to do that, but the first thing that you need to know is how to get to the library databases. So the first thing we're going to do is go to the BFIT homepage. We're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom, and we're going to click on Lufkin Library. This is the library homepage. And once it's open, we can scroll down a little bit here. And the very first thing is search the digital library. I want to click on that. Now this takes you to our digital library page. All of the library's online resources are here. There are a lot of different things. We've got ebooks, we've got all sorts of databases for all sorts of different subjects. We've got newspapers. Basically, whatever kind of information you need, you can probably find it here. For this assignment, I really want you to focus on these two here, OmniFile Full Text Select and Gale Power Search, because those are going to be the most useful for you in terms of finding articles for this particular project. Now, the first thing that we want to do is just click on it. And because we're off campus, it's going to give us a login that we have to put in. So this is going to ask you for your student or faculty ID. And where you can find that number is on the back of your student ID. There's a 14-digit number that starts with a 2. And this would be where you put that in. So this is the search screen for one of our databases. Now you might think, hey, that looks a little bit like Google. Unfortunately, the way the databases search and the way Google searches are very different. Our databases use something called keyword searching, which means that you have to be really specific as to what search terms you put into that little box there. I suggest when you're getting around to doing the research review assignment that you think about something in your field that you really like. Is there a topic that you've really enjoyed, or something that you're really interested in, or something that you want to learn more about? Thinking about a specific topic ahead of time is a good idea and a great way to get a really specific search. The other thing that's really important to note about the library databases is that they contain mostly credible information. we pay the databases a certain amount to provide us with content that is credible and reliable, and that we know that our students can use it in their research. Now, that's not necessarily true of the internet. You have to do a lot more of deciding whether a source is credible or not on the internet itself. That's why we recommend that you use the library databases, because we already know that 99.9% of the information in there is going to be credible and fine for you to use in a scholarly paper. One important thing to keep in mind when you're searching the databases is that what the database calls something might not be what you call something. So for example, if I'm an automotive technology student and I want to find information about new cars or something that's coming up in the field I want to know about, I might be tempted to put in the word car in the search box. But I know from experience that the database doesn't call it a car. The database wants you to use the word automobile. So if I put in the word automobile and I click search, it's going to bring up some results. This is the results screen here. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. So if you see here, I have search results, articles 1 through 20 of 87,682 articles. Now that's a lot of articles, and probably what that means is that I was not being quite specific enough in my search. Now the first thing I want you to do when you get to a page like this is to come over here and click on this box right here that says full text, because we need to make sure that we're clicking on full text so that you're only getting articles you can read right away. Now, the other things that you can look at on this page are each one of these. There's number 1, number 2. Each one of these is an article. And I can look at the title of the article. I can look at who wrote the article, where it was published, when it was published, a bunch of other information about it. And now this is the important part. There's a little synopsis here, a little summary of each article in the search results itself. So you don't need to open them up and look at them one by one. You can just sort of scroll through to see what kinds of subjects you're getting here. Am I on the right track with my search terms? Okay, so 87,000 articles would be a lot of articles to look through to try to figure out which one is the best to use for my paper. So what I'm going to do here is use something called Boolean searching. Boolean searching is when you use specific words to tell the database what things you want to include in a search and what things you don't want to include in a search. Those words are and, or, and not. Using the Boolean operators and, or, and not will change your search, either make it more specific or more general depending on which one you use. And narrows down your search results. For example, apples and oranges would return articles that used both the words apples and oranges, but not ones that just mentioned one or the other. Or it will expand your search results. If you do apples or oranges, that'll bring you back any article that mentions either apples or oranges. And finally, not limits your search. So let's say I wanted an article that mentioned just apples but not oranges. I would use not in that case. So let's go back to our search results page. 87,000 results is too many results, so I know I need to use the Boolean operator and. So let's go up to the search box and I'll put in the word and because I'm really interested in engines, I'm going to try engines, and I'm going to click the big search button. Now what we've got here is our results. We have a lot less results, so we have 7,000 results. And if I scroll through and kind of take a look at the summaries of each, I can see that I'm getting a lot better results because I narrowed down that search and made it more specific. Now let's say that I'm ready to look at an article. I really want to know about Andy Palmer, the CEO of Aston Martin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on that article. And that brings me to a sort of bare bones HTML version of the article itself, which is fine. But the other thing we can do, and we can even do it from our search page here, is to click on PDF full text. Okay, so as you can see, the PDF version is a lot fancier. We've got nice magazine layout. We've got photos. If we had charts or graphs, those would be there as well. So if at all possible, I recommend that you use the PDF version just because that will just be a lot nicer to read. So let's say I read through this and I came across a really good bit of information and I want to quote it in my paper. When you're doing that, you need to make sure that you're giving proper credit. And we do that here with something called citation. Now, you may know that we cite things here in MLA format. Lucky for you, the database makes it really easy to cite things. So all we have to do is go up here to the little toolbox on the side. About halfway down, there is a yellow page, and if you hover over it, it'll say cite. So all we have to do is click on it. It'll bring up some other types of citation, but we just got to scroll down until we hit MLA. And at this point, I can grab that citation. So that starts with the author's name. I can grab that citation and then paste it into sort of a rough draft works cited document. I always recommend that if you're going to even think about using an article in a paper, that you grab that citation and put it somewhere for safekeeping, because it's about 100 times easier to delete something off a works cited page that you didn't use than to have to go into the databases, find, the article you were looking at, cite it, get it, just grab it when you're looking at it. That way it's all done already for you. Now, if you go back to the result list, you can see some of them don't have the PDF option. So sometimes you only get HTML full text, and that's okay. You can always just read it here in its HTML format. But you still have that citation tools over here on the side. It's important to note that. And they still look exactly the same. You just click on it and scroll down till you hit MLA format. One other thing that's good to know when you're looking at the search results list is that if your professor requires that your articles be a specific length, you can check out the page count here in the summary. And usually it'll tell you around how long it is, what the pages are. So that way if you need one that is over 2 pages, you can check it out there and know ahead of time if it's a good one to look at or not. So in conclusion, you're going to want to be really specific with your search terms. You're going to want to make sure that you are checking out the summaries of each article to make sure you're on the right track. And you want to make sure that you grab that citation information before you close the databases, because again, it's really much easier to delete information that you didn't end up using than to have to go find it again. So if you're not getting great information in this database, you can switch over to a different database. We have a bunch of different ones. Gale is a similar database. An important thing to know is that even though our databases may contain some of similar information, they don't contain everything that's the same. So if you're not getting anything in one database, try another one. Just make sure that you're still grabbing that citation information from there as well. So that's the basics of searching the library databases. Remember that if you have any questions, you can always come down to the library and ask a librarian for help.